Hi, everyone, and welcome to Full Catalog, where I review albums and rank the entire discographies of artists I enjoy. Today, I'm reviewing The Mountain by Gorillaz, which released on February 27th of this year and has been a highly anticipated release for me, especially since the singles came out. If you're new to the channel, I rate albums on a 5-point scale, with my breakdown of that rating scale on the screen right now, so you can kind of see how it breaks down. Okay, so that being said, I approach these reviews by sharing my thoughts on each track in chronological order, and then giving some closing thoughts with my final rating at the end. Starting with the opening track, The Mountain. An introduction track has the difficult job of not only standing on its own, but also setting the stage for the entire album to come, and The Mountain nails it on both fronts. This song is able to convey the entire range of human emotion in 4.5 minutes, and almost entirely instrumentally. Right off the bat, you can hear the South Asian instrumentation here. This song just sounds like a beginning and an ending, which is perfectly on theme with the cyclical ideas of karma, reincarnation, and more. The first time I heard that main melody in this track, it kind of reminded me of Be Our Guest from Beauty and the Beast for some reason, but yeah, it's beautiful. Getting into track 2, The Moon Cave, after such an atmospheric intro, The Moon Cave just continues the cinematic quality of the album. The strings, both sustained and pizzicato, that start things off are partly to thank for this cinematic sound. When the beat kicks in around 50 seconds, it's the perfect bridge of Gorillaz we're familiar with as listeners, but also still true to the vibe that the rest of this album's going to bring. The switch up around 2:40 transitions very smoothly. I love the lyrics and flow of the rap feature here. It's impressive how many different ways float and topic are reused here without ever feeling repetitive. Okay, getting into the lead single, The Happy Dictator. I enjoy how, even without the lyrics, this song musically conveys to you that it is propaganda. I enjoy how the track makes you wait a while for its best moment to come in with the first No More Bad News. This was an interesting pick for a single, but a very strong one at that. The Hardest Thing, on its own, doesn't stand out that much to me, but in the context of the album, and as an extended introduction to Orange County, it works much better. The horns driving the crescendo to the end of the track here musically convey kind of this idea of ascension or crossing over into the next life. And I think combining this with Orange County and thematically what the two represent, it becomes a much stronger track than by itself. So getting into Orange County, I think it's such an incredible idea to show the loss of a loved one through both perspectives back to back. So you have The Hardest Thing showing the transition into the afterlife from the perspective of the one making that journey, while Orange County leaves us with the other party who is grieving the loss. And they're kind of going through this internal struggle of determining whether to move on and whether someone is waiting for you in the next life or not, and what the legacy of it all means. I think it's a conflict all of us hope never to have to experience, and this is a great song. The God of Lying was musically my least favorite track on the album, but lyrically it is a solid track. I love the perspective switch into a more agnostic or skeptical view for this track. The music itself grounds us back on Earth and daily struggles rather than a more ethereal and extraordinary sound the rest of the album is going for. I just don't find this track to be that catchy, and nothing really hooks me, so it is, at this moment, the weak link in the album for me. What isn't a weak link is The Empty Dream Machine. Every album has like a floating away track, right? The Mountain has many, actually, but Empty Dream Machine is the epitome of that sound. You know, like the meme of the song that just makes you float away. I love the references throughout the rap section here with Shadowy Light and Mountain both included. The Need You on My Team trading vocals at the end are the highlight of the track for me. Getting into the Manifesto, I have been so excited to talk about this track. This is just such an ambitious song that on paper should not work, but it ends up being the show stealer of the album. You've got this Asian instrumentation and Latin urban vocals all woven together with cinematic production. It's just perfect somehow. Symbolically, this track is the mountain. It's placed in the middle of the album. The symbolism here of the mountain as resiliency and stability through turbulent times or hardships. The song gives you a bit of whiplash between genres and cultural influences and provides kind of this chaotic ride, but it brings it all back to how it begins with the beginning kind of showing that the mountain remains unchanged throughout all of that. Going into The Plastic Guru, this song has one of the more soaring hooks on the album, though admittedly it sounded almost cheesy to me on first listen. It's grown on me with continued listens. I just don't have a whole lot to say about this track and ultimately think it's alright, but I don't yet understand its place in the album or overall vision here. Delirium delivers on its title. This song feels like a bad trip, having Mark E. Smith yell about shrunken China chief heads to you over and over, whatever the fuck that means. I actually laughed out loud the first time I heard his part come on. This track is exactly what is advertised. The synths and beat during the kind of unhinged feature sections are one of the standout sections of the entire album to me. So getting into Damascus, I actually just took my chisve off the stove and made myself a Turkish coffee while I finished recording the audio for this video. I love the disrespect to Starbucks here and the broader symbolism of that. The intro doesn't really fit in with the rest of the track, but other than that, I have no complaints. I really hope that this album, and this track in particular, break down some barriers that some listeners in my home country of the US might have with foreign language and international music. This song just slaps. It has incredible bass synth lines throughout underneath, some incredible dueling vocals. New Arrival's Fresh Survival is one of the catchiest hooks on the mountain as well. The Shadowy Light is such an underrated track based on the discourse I've followed online so far. This also belongs in that category of kind of floating away vibes I mentioned on Empty Dream Machine earlier. The piano throughout the song, repeating the main melody, is a very nice touch, and the Hindi sections are, of course, the standout here. I just love how much of a melting pot this album is in its sounds. Casablanca is an unsettling track. It's sad that the words inmates, suburbia, and shooter immediately conjure up in my mind that this track is about my home here in America. Sonically, this song just captures a sense of unease and wrongness that makes you question why the narrator seems to admire it all. Another thing that reminds me of the state of the US is just kind of the claims of greatness in this song persisting while horrific things happen all around us. The Sweet Prince is sad, but also so comforting. The switch up at the 3-minute mark is actually gorgeous instrumentally. This is another track about grief, but this one makes it feel like everything is going to be okay, whereas a track like Orange County feels a bit more conflicted in how it handles grief. Getting into the final track, The Sad God, hearing the melody from the opening track recontextualized here brings everything full circle, tying into the themes again of cyclical birth and death and rebirth. The lyrics here are incredible. I love the portrayal of a sad god and how subversive it is compared to wrathful or vengeful portrayals more common in media. To hear from the titular god just a sense of overwhelming sadness in how we have destroyed things is crushing. We don't need to seek paradise in the afterlife because it was here all along and we squandered it. This song plays so well, going immediately back into a loop of track 1 and starting the album all over again. So, closing thoughts. On a more positive note, I love this album and consider myself among many fans who consider it the best since Plastic Beach. Its themes, melting pot of features, sounds, and instrumentation are unlike anything I've heard before, and the tracks themselves all stand out while also being cohesive as a concept album. For my final rating, I'm going to give The Mountain a 4 out of 5. This is a great album that I will be revisiting often and that will remain in the conversation for my album of the year in the coming months. Anyways, thanks for watching. Let me know which Gorillaz album you would like to see reviewed next. I plan to do a full catalog song ranking of the Gorillaz at some point, but it will be a time-consuming one to put together. So until then, I'd like to do some reviews of individual albums. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and take care. Thank you.